It's 7 in the morning, so y'all are gonna have to excuse my voice and my face and my hair and just everything. How do I start this video? So, you guys know this is more so an entertainment channel, a channel where we try to understand different cultures, a music channel where I do my reactions. It's not about politics, is my point. Though I do always say I welcome everyone. I'm not the kind of person who can hate a group of people just because they have a different set of opinions than me. Just because not that I hate them because they vote for a different person, but I do look at them differently. But my point is, I love all people. I believe all people deserve respect and all that jazz. You guys know I've always been debating on whether I want to move to London, travel, yada yada yada. But last night and this morning definitely cemented that. I cannot stay in this country. So, 1 out of 3 officers involved in the death of Breonna Taylor, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard about the case going on with that. If you haven't, then just Google it. Only 1 out of the 3 officers were indicted, not for homicide, but for endangerment. Basically, endangerment of everyone else around her apartment. From my understanding, the police had a no-knock order, which basically means you can enter someone's home without uniform, toting guns. Now in America, as you all know, we have these prairie, little house on the prairie laws where you can defend your home, you can open carry, you can, basically a big foundation of America is based on guns and owning guns and defending your home. But the same does not apply, I guess, for Breonna Taylor's boyfriend. Breonna Taylor's boyfriend was, I believe, a drug smuggler, so that's the reason the police were entering their home at the middle of the night. So whenever he heard the commotion, he got his gun and tried to defend his home. He opened fire, the police reciprocated fire, and Breonna Taylor was killed. Breonna Taylor had nothing to do with his criminal activity, by the way. But aside from all the technicalities to the story, not a single person involved is getting charged with homicide for Breonna Taylor's death. And I've been seeing people try to justify the death as in oh, it was just an accident or collateral damage. But last time I checked, if I accidentally kill a passenger of a car that I'm driving from reckless driving, I'm still going to get in trouble. If I accidentally am walking on a bridge and bump someone over the edge on accident, I'm still going to be getting in trouble. Not endangerment, I'm talking homicide. But that's not the case for these officers. So that leads me to just believe this is not the first time something like this happened. This is not the first time injustice has been served in the face of an African American or minority losing their life or being just treated unfairly by the system. Which blatantly just tells me if this is a reoccurring thing, it's sort of something not that you have to accept, but that you have to acknowledge. And with that, I believe strongly that America does not care about Black people. America doesn't care about Black women. America has never cared about Black people, and I don't know if America will genuinely care about Black people ever. You can protest, you can start any new movement you want. Black Lives Matter, African Americans matter, support Black people. It doesn't really matter. Because at the end of the day, you're doing it in a country that does not care about you. It's just I think of America as a tree, and America's been around for hundreds of years. So let's say we have we're in the rainforest and we have 100-year-old tree. This is going to make sense. Trust me. Just listen. You have 100-year-old tree. You want to uproot that 100-year-old tree because you want to build a new civilization in that area. It's going to take a lot of time and effort to dig out the roots of that tree. In this case, the roots of the tree are all the shitty things that America is built on, represents, and has had to do to get to where we are as a society now. My point is, it's going to take a lot more than protests to turn around this country. It's going to take a lot more than protests to turn around this country. Because even with how big and explosive the Black Lives Matter movement has become in the past year, you still have people going against it, trying to call us savages, thugs, all this. Oh, one more point I forgot to mention. The only way to reform a country is to get out the people who have put the status of the country in place. You can't reform America by having protests. The only way to reform America is to get these people who continue to let us down out of office. Vote out the senators, vote out the mayors, vote out the president, vote out all the people in office who are just continuing to let this same cycle repeat itself. Obviously, there's no change because a protest in the streets isn't going to change things higher up. The only way to do that is for the people to go out and vote for what they actually believe in. You see what's going on. You see the state of America. If you don't want this to continue, you have to vote out the people. It's like the roots I was just talking about. You can't pick out roots by walking the streets. You rip them out, aka rip them out of office. I even saw someone say, as you guys know, last night after the ruling in Louisville, Kentucky, which is Louisville, Kentucky, no shocker. But my point is, people were walking around and unloading a U-Haul truck full of like picket signs, cloth signs, stuff like that. Because they already knew that's the crazy thing. They already knew this was going to be the verdict. If you have time to rent a U-Haul, fill it up with all these posters and signs and things to protest with. The sad thing is you already knew this was going to be the verdict. That's sad. But anyways, they unload it. They have these huge signs that say like Black Lives Matter, defund the police, defund blah, 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 reform, blah, blah, blah. And people were saying, it's not funny, but it's so preposterous that it's funny. I saw what's going on outside my house? Oh, it's trash day. Okay, whatever. Someone was saying, look at these savages toting around their shields as if civilians want to go to war with the police. This is what, okay, it's getting loud, hold on. This is what I mean by, it's not, you could have the most peaceful protest and all lives matter people, Republicans, conservatives, will find some way to try to make it to seem like you're the bad guy. The most peaceful protest, shout out to my wig, and someone will try to find some way to make you the villain. Which I don't want to say is just an American thing, but it's definitely American. Now, my problem is, where do we go? How did this all start? Because a few years back, I wasn't really involved in like Black Lives Matter or any like sort of, obviously I was like political in the sense that I had my own morals, so I voted with the party once I could, like once I was able to vote, I voted with the party that I felt matched my morals the best. But I was never tuning in, trying to find out the latest topics, learning about politics or the state of America. And I feel like in the past year or so, I've basically been forced to do so because one, I'm older, so I can understand it a bit more. And two, everything that's going on, I feel like affects me more than I'm an adult, if you can call me an adult. So I've basically been forced to look at what's happening in this country and try to understand it and also direct my life to where I won't be I don't know the word, but to where this shitty society doesn't mess up my life, basically. And the only question I really have is, how did this begin? How did this start? Because people are so quick to say, oh, once Trump got in office, America went downhill. All these racists came out of the woodworks. But the thing is, it's not like Donald Trump has like a factory where he can create his supporters, or a place where he can just recruit racists to come to America. These people have always been here. This is literally what America is. People always say MAGA, make America great again. But when has America ever been great for minorities? Who has always been on the top since the beginning of time? This country was founded on slavery, and this isn't me bringing up something that's so old, as people like to say. There are slaves who are still alive. There are people from the civil rights movement era that are still alive. So I hate that saying. But aside from that, my point is, this isn't something that's new. These people didn't just come out of the woodworks. I believe they've always been here. This is the basis of America. This is who America is. This whole land of the free, home of the brave, liberty and love for all is bull. Absolute bull crap. Because if it were true, Breonna Taylor's murderers would have been charged with homicide, not endangerment of her neighbors. I believe Trump entering office basically just amplified the ugliness of America, and I want no part of it, so I'm saying deuces. As soon as I get my nursing degree, I'm probably just going to sign up with an agency and move somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere. Probably London, maybe Switzerland, because it sounds amazing over there. Maybe Scotland. I don't know. But yeah, it's just sad to see how this country is going. Someone said America is a third world country in a Gucci belt. If that's not the most accurate description of this country I once thought was the best thing in the world, I don't know how else to describe it. America is a third world country in a Gucci belt. Or a third world country with good credit. AKA a joke. Justice for Breonna Taylor. Black Lives Matter.